Ready? We believe in hell. The word hell is like from an old English word that they would use for the underworld, for the place of the dead where they're punished. That's where we get the word hell from. And it comes from this crazy spot where Jesus describes hell as a dump outside of Jerusalem. And we're going to look at it. It comes from the Greek word Gehenna, which means the valley of Hinnom or Gehinnom, which was a valley south of Jerusalem that was previously used for child sacrifices and where corpses were thrown and trash from the city was burned. And you see that in 2 Chronicles 28:3. I want to show you this right here. This is Jerusalem. If you look, that big box right there in the upper right hand, that's where the Dome of the Rock is right now, that the Muslims control with a big gold dome that you see in the typical pictures of Jerusalem. The Kidron Valley is the valley that Jesus walked across when he was going to be betrayed by Judas, and the Garden of Gethsemane is to the right up on that hill where Jesus was betrayed and arrested. But below that, the Hinnom Valley, the Gehinnom, runs into the Kidron Valley. And so what would happen is all the trash from the city would get taken out of the gate on the south there and would be thrown into the Hinnom Valley. If you died and you were, or like if you were a criminal, it's where they would throw people that were crucified, like Jesus. Nobody wanted to come collect his body, or the thieves that were crucified with Jesus. What they would do is they would take their bodies, and if nobody collected them, or if they were homeless or whatever, and nobody came and got them, they would chuck these corpses out into the valley of Hinnom. And so out in the Hinnom Valley, you have dead people. You have dead people, you have trash, you have maggots and worms that are eating the dying and decaying things that are out in this valley. You have people that have started fires to try to burn up the trash. And here's another picture of the actual Hinnom Valley. So if you come there with me to Jerusalem this week, you'll see, or this year, you'll see actually, here's a picture of people actually burning trash in the Hinnom Valley. Even to this day, there's people that still dump trash out there. Do you have the other picture of the Valley of Hinnom? This is a satellite picture, and you can see the Dome of the Rock way up there in the top middle. If you went straight down, the Kidron runs to the top right, and it meets right there on the far right-hand side. The Hinnom Valley is this big circular valley at the bottom there. It's a real place. You can go visit the place that we translate as hell. So you could go to hell if you wanted to today. So like when somebody says, go there, you're like, oh, we're going to the Valley of Hinnom. You're like, what in the world are you talking about? This is the actual place that Jesus refers to as a reference point for what eternity is going to be like. Watch this. Jesus used this valley to illustrate the punishment of sinful people, a place of continual darkness, isolation, undying worms, and fire that never goes out. Matthew 22:13. Look at Matthew 22:13. Look at, these are the words of Jesus. Then the king said to the attendants, these are people that claim to have known God and do his work, but at the end of it, they are shown that they do not know God. It says, the king then said to the attendants, bind him hand and foot and cast him into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And in Luke 16:24, it's a parable that two dead people, one of them's a poor man who was taken to Abraham's bosom. It's the Old Testament version of heaven, of paradise. And you've got a person who did not trust in the God of Israel for their sins, and now they are separated from God. And in Luke 16:24, and he called out, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, who was the man in the story, to dip the end of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in anguish in this flame. Jesus uses this picture of somebody separated from God in absolute agony. And in Luke 16:24, and this is the parable of the illustration. God created hell and is present there carrying out justice against sin forever. Understand this. Many times I've heard this, oh, hell is a place where God doesn't exist. No, my friends, God exists everywhere. There's no place that God doesn't exist. God exists in hell. God created that place. It's a spiritual place that Jesus uses the physical reality of hell to illustrate the horrible spiritual reality. It is a place that if you and I end up there, it is a place that is so horrible that you and I cannot fathom in this life. It's so horrible that Jesus had to use illustrations of worms eating corpses and darkness and separation and no love, no life, no relationships. You know, when I was young, people would go, "Hey man, I'll see you in hell. I'll see you in hell. We're going to party when we get there. All my friends are going to be there. We're on the highway to hell. AC/DC." Now, while that song is very theologically correct, they are on the highway to hell. The reality is we think of hell as some like little play place where like a man dressed in a red cape with some horns exists. Hell is a real place where if you and I end up there, it's a place that Jesus describes as you are isolated. Imagine this, that you are in a dark room that you cannot see anything. You are isolated, no one to hear you, no one to speak to you. You're relationally isolated in darkness, alone, punished for your sin, in a state that you cannot leave. It will never end. Why will it never end? Because why? Because eternity has started for you and me. It is a state so horrific that Jesus says you stay out of this state in any way possible. In fact, if it didn't come from the lips of Jesus who loves us, I'd go, this is crazy. Watch what Jesus has to say. Hell is not the absence of God's presence, but rather the absence of his grace to sinful beings. Do you realize right now the only reason you and I are alive is because God's grace is on us?